Hey folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always, a huge thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan. A couple of weeks ago, I went on a one-day spoon carving course to help build upon and consolidate the knowledge and skills that I've been picking up over the past couple of years, in particular with the face-to-face courses that I've been undertaking with Paul Kirtley and Frontier Bushcraft. I'll link to that one-day course that I went on up here, the video that I did at the end of it. That was only 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think it's fair to say that I've been bitten by the bug, because I kind of haven't stopped carving or hacking away at wood and since I came back off that course. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to offer a part 2 to that video. I wanted to offer a follow-up to that video to show how the spoon that I started and almost finished on the day, how I've finished that off now, and also some other spoons that I've subsequently started, worked through, and have now completed. This video isn't about the spoon carving as such. This video is more about a look at the spoons that I have carved since my very first one. Unfortunately, I remember to keep that, and all the subsequent ones. But really this video is to take a look at some little hints and tips that I've discovered along the way in terms of finishing the spoon off once you've actually carved it out. So first things first, why don't we take a look at the spoons that I've carved since that first one and right up to my most recent one. So as you can see on the screen here, the very first spoon that I carved is on the left of the picture, and the most recent spoon that I've carved is on the right of the picture. And there they are, listed kind of from left to right in the order in which I've carved them. And yes, the third thing from the left isn't technically a spoon, it's a spatula, but I hope you'll let me off with that. I really don't recall what woods these were all carved from. I certainly know that the second from the left is sycamore. I know that there are some silver birch in there. I know that there are some sweet chestnut in there. I definitely know that the last 3 on the right, the most recent ones that I've carved, have all been silver birch, because they've all come from the same round of wood that I was given on the day at that one-day course. In fact, the third from the end, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th utensil from the left, that was the spoon that I actually carved on the day during the one-day course. And then to the right of that is a very small, smallest that you can see, small teaspoon. And then to the right of that is another spoon with a slightly in between the two sizes, if you like, and it's got a somewhat subtly different shaped handle than anything else that I've carved. So I hope that you can see, I really do hope you can see, that my spoon carving has kind of evolved from the very first one on the left to the more recent 3 that are on the far right of the screen. But as I said, it's not really about the spoon carving as such, this video. It's just about a few little hints and tips that I've discovered along the way. I know that some spoon carvers out there frown upon sanding down your spoon when you've finished, and they believe, and I agree with them, that if you're good enough, you can get a perfect finish and a beautiful angular finish just by using your craft knife. And I've seen some spoon carving with Tom on Instagram does a wonderful job of being able to show those very clean lines, and he's clearly been doing it for some time. I'm not there quite yet. I don't know if I'll ever will be, but I'm not there yet, so I do tend to sand my spoons down once I've finished. Now in the past I would have always thought about using sandpaper, because that's what generally is used for sanding wood, isn't it? But I discovered this when I went on the woodsman course with Paul Kirtley. It was Paul that actually induced me to it, and it's something called Abranet, A-B-R-A-N-E-T, Abranet. I'm sure there are other similar brands or similar makes out there as well. One of the challenges with using sandpaper, if you've ever used it, is after a while of sanding, the paper becomes clogged. Some of the dust will fall, into the air and onto the floor, but a lot of it sticks onto the abrasive surface, and it builds up and it clogs, and after a while your sandpaper kind of needs discarding. You need to use a new piece. If you take a very close look at that, you'll be able to see me. Let me cover the lens with it, and I'm actually going to wave from the other side. You can see me waving, and the reason you can see me waving is Abranet. This is a net, it's a mesh-like material. So when I'm actually sanding with it, yes, some of it is falling onto the floor and going into the air, but a lot of it is actually falling through the mesh material onto the ground. Very little actually collects on this, very little. In fact, just a flick of the finger like that and any residue that has collected is just discarded again. In other words, you can get a heck of a lot more use out of this than you can sandpaper. So I quite like it. It's a little bit more expensive, yes, but as I said, I think it will last longer because you don't have to keep discarding it to get a new piece of sandpaper. So I bought 2 grits of that. This is an 80. I can't remember what the finer grit was that I bought, but it's been bringing the spoons up into a lovely finish. So if spoon carving is something that you're interested in doing or are already doing, why don't you take a look on Amazon at Abranet or on eBay, wherever you want to get it from, and just take a look and see if that's something that could fine-tune your finish a little more. The other thing that I discovered as well was beeswax salve, and I discovered the recipe for this in this book that my kids were very kind enough to get me for Father's Day, which has been quite recently. It was a litre of mineral oil, it was 500 grams of pure white beeswax. I mixed the 2 together, heated them up in a pan, very simple recipe, just kept stirring. Just add them all together and just keep stirring over low heat. Eventually the beeswax melts, it's a liquid, pour it into a jar, leave it overnight, and voila, you have some beeswax. And that's what I've been finishing my spoons with. It says in the book to give them a coating of it and then to buff it off overnight. You leave it overnight and buff it off. I've actually been doing that for 2 nights on the trot, so leaving it on all day, overnight, buffing it off in the morning, applying another layer, leaving it on all day, all night, and buffing it off the next day. And that seems to be giving it a nice coating and texture to the finished spoons. That's it for this video. It's not intended to be a spoon carving video, despite what the title of the video is, Spoon Carving Part 2. It was more just to say that yes, I walked away at the end of that 1-day course with a spoon that was probably actually good enough if you were out in the field to eat with, without a doubt, but I wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to look at how I could put a better finish on the spoon. And as I say, I've been bitten by the bug a little bit because I've carved another 2 spoons in that time, and I've still got some rounds at home. Some are in the hole, some have been quartered down and they're in the fridge at the moment, which is driving the missus up the wall, but I suspect I'll be starting on another spoon very, very shortly. If you're into spoon carving, do you have any little hints and tips for finishing off? Do you sand it down or do you just leave the knife finish? Do you use beeswax salve or do you use some form of other oil to coat your spoons and protect your spoons? If you do something different to me to the way you finish your spoons, why don't you let me know in the comments below, either on Facebook or YouTube. If you've enjoyed watching the video, there's a thumbs up button, you know what to do with it. And finally, if you're not yet a subscriber, please do click on that subscribe button in this corner of the screen and you become a subscriber as if by magic. Thanks as always for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.